The Force is strong with you, Base, but you are not a Jedi yet. Hello, Mississippi dudes, this is the Mississippi King welcoming y'all back to the finale of Let's Play Mega Man VII. And in this episode, we're going to beat the game and face off against the final boss. In the last episode, we got through Willy Stage 2 and 3, and most of Willy Stage 4. So all that's left is the final boss, which apparently was made the way that it was because Keiji Inafune said, let's make this fight insanely hard. Really now? Apparently one of the designers said that we ended up creating a boss fight that was so hard that you couldn't beat without using an energy tank. Oh really? You wanna bet on that? That sounds like an attempt to undermine my mastery at Mega Man. You wanna bet that I can't beat this guy without using an energy tank? Well, we'll see how that works. I mean, I am going to try and do this. You really think that? That I can't beat this guy without using an energy tank? Basically, he follows a relatively simple pattern. The first phase is pretty easy, the Willy Machine 7, but it's the second part that everyone remembers so well. But it sounds like they were trying to mock my ability at beating Mega Man games. This is supposed to be one that you can't beat without using an energy tank. Well, you see, the trick to this fight is stand under him. Do that all the time, whenever he comes up. Now, I realize that that may seem suicidal, but trust me, it's the best way to do it. What you want to do is that when they show up, the energy spheres, you'll want to slide off to one side. And you want to actually make yourself slightly skewed towards one side. And the closer to the ground he is, the more skewed you want to make it. Specifically, you want to skew it towards the side you intend to slide away from. That's worth keeping in mind. And when he just appears on the ground, then, well, you can dodge that, but it's a bit more tricky. I find it to be harder than just when he doesn't show up on the ground. Fortunately, he doesn't show up on the ground often, so that's good. Nevertheless, we're almost done. Or I could end up, bungling that up. Well, that's no good. I screwed up. I am going to beat this guy without using an energy tank, just you watch. And the first form isn't what everyone finds so infamous. But yeah, I'm going to beat both forms without using an energy tank. And you know what? Since you caused me to screw up so much, I'm going to mock the first phase by only using the Mega Buster against it. Just to show how easy this fight actually is. Well, I don't know if I'd say it's easy, but still not that hard. Not as hard as the internet makes it out to be, certainly. And one thing that is worth noting, the small miniatures can actually be destroyed, but I don't really bother because I prefer to focus my time on the other ones, and the minis are easy to dodge, as is. So, the miniatures, however, are immune to the Thunderbolt, and so that's interesting. But one thing that is kind of interesting, I recently found out that The Thunderbolt is actually called the Thunderstrike in Japan. Likewise, the Scorch Whale is the Burning Whale. And the Noise Crush is the Crush Noise. So that's kind of interesting. But this isn't really the extra video. However, we are going to still defeat this guy without using any energy tanks. I mean, I've gotten through each game, except for Mega Man 2, without using a single energy tank. And granted, the first game didn't include any energy tanks, but still, I'm going to keep that up. So, you think this is so hard that you can't beat without using an energy tank? It's not that hard if you know the trick. You see, again, stand under him. This is what you want to do. Follow this religiously. You want to just keep this up. Move off to one side so you can use the Wild Coil. And this is where, like, holding up on the D-pad actually becomes relevant to damaging him, because if you don't, then you can't really damage him for the most part, unless he's on the ground. But the Freeze Cracker is the only weapon that damages him besides the Wild Coil. And again, I'm going to defeat this guy without using any energy tanks, so go away! I will taunt you a second time! Fun fact about this fight, you don't actually need to use a weapon tank either. They give you just enough Wild Coil to beat this guy without having to switch to another weapon. That's kind of interesting, but only enough to do that, so I'll have to switch to the Freeze Cracker, which, you know, it's easier to hit him with that, so maybe it would be advisable to do that, but it also does less damage, so it's kind of a trade-off. However, he should be going down pretty easily. Do not mock me, Capcom! For my ability to defeat these wily fights. I can defeat Dr. Willy. And did I use an energy tank? I think not. That makes 5 games in a row that I've beaten without using an energy tank, and now Willy is defeated for the 7th time.
Okay, I get up. Sorry about all the trouble, now go quietly.
Now just whip out that fancy smanchy whirl, or you could just straight up kill the sucker, that works too. I don't trust you, Willy. I'm gonna do what I should have done years ago.
You forget, Mega Man! Robots cannot harm humans!
I am more than a robot. Die, Willy! So, that's actually a reference to the first law of robotics that was invented by Isaac Asimov. Fun fact, Mega Man just hesitates, and Willy gets away. In the original version, Mega Man said, I gotta do what I should have done years ago, just like how I gonna make fun of typos. Too late, Mega Man. He who hesitates is lost. We shall return. And yeah, well, that ending kinda sucks. Okay, one thing it has going over the endings of Mega Man 4 and 5 is that at least we get this awesome ending sequence with the castle that burns in flames as Mega Man walks away. Plus, the credits theme is just epic. It's like one of my favorites in the series. Like, maybe my 3rd favorite behind the ones of Mega Man 2 and 4. Not necessarily respectively, but yeah, this credits theme He's awesome. And fun fact about the Japanese version, apparently for Freeze Man's stages, there for all of the robots, there are certain things that are listed below the names when you select their stage to fight them for the first time. Freeze Man's stage says "Don't Slip," Junkman says "Forgotten Factory," for Cloudman it's "Watch Your Step," and Burst Man it says "Bomb," "Bomber," and "Bombust." The "and" I added. What? That doesn't make any sense, but whatever. For Turbo Man it says "Champ of the Roads," and Shade Man says "Mystery the Horror," which is pretty stupid, I must admit. And Slash Man it says "Jurassic Jungle," and Spring Man says "Boy Yon Paradise." I think that means Bouncy Paradise, but whatever. That, by the way, was Mega Man VII. It's an excellent game, one that I cannot recommend enough. It's one of my favorites in the series, and I enjoy it, even though there are a number of issues I have with this game. And, one thing I feel I should mention, bass and treble, they were originally going to be called Baroque and Crash. No, not that Crash, that's a different thing. Okay, are you even trying at this point? This predates that Crash. But anyway, that's all. I think the sprite size is too big, and it results in some hitbox issues, and really I think the last fight we just dealt with wouldn't be nearly as bad if the sprites were more reasonably sized. You would have an easier time discerning where you can dodge, and it would just feel more reasonable. But other than that, the controls are good, even though they're not as good as the NES games. And they're not excellent, but they'll do. And honestly, there are games that I love that have far worse controls than this. So it's like I can ignore issues like that as long as the game itself is solid. And I can very much say that the game itself is solid. Including an info card on Mega Man himself, because I should have done that in the first Mega Man game. So I figured better late than never. And also, this is perhaps the most epic place to include it. So yeah, I gotta do what I should have done months ago. Which is make fun of typos as well. But yeah, that's really all. However, this is not all that we have for Mega Man VII. There's actually an extra video that's coming out, where I'll deal with a lot of things, and also, unlike previous finale videos, I am not going to be talking about the box art in this episode. I'm gonna save that till the extra video. But we're done, folks. That's it. Now, there is something else about the ending that will come later on that we'll actually cover in the extra video, and that's that this game actually provides a password. So I'm actually going to cover that in the next video, but remember that for later. So see y'all for my next LP when I play through Mega Man 8. This is the Mississippi King signing out, and next time we'll be tackling Mega Man 8, folks. Yep, we're ready to move on to the PlayStation with anime and ridiculous voice acting. Oh boy, I am going to have a field day when I get to that.